This is Maurice Philogene with Quattro Capital, and if you want to learn how to sharpen your axe and take down your biggest goals, you should be listening to the Small Axe Communities podcast with my good friend Nico Salgado.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Nico Salgado, and I chat with top industry leaders in multifamily and business. I believe that it only takes a small axe to build a lasting empire. And if you want to learn how to use your small axe to accomplish your biggest dreams and goals, then join our Small Axe community and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of the Small Axe Communities podcast. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Maurice Philogene. If you don't know Maurice, you're about to get hit with a dose of a life being lived to the fullest. You will not be permitted from now on to use the excuse that you don't have enough time. His skill set, interests, and successes are incredible. He's a senior executive, real estate investor, restaurant owner, explorer of 96 plus countries, I'm sure by now, public servant, and aspiring philanthropist. He's passionate about serving clients in the consulting space and living financially free via passive income. He acquires multifamily properties to generate passive income and build a legacy. His shift now towards lifestyle design has started, living how, where, and in what way he wants to live, all while helping people along the way. Mr. Maurice, welcome to the show.
Oh, Nico, thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Excellent, man. I'm really excited to have you. And I've listened to you on a few podcasts now, and it's just every time I hear you, I get inspired, enthusiastic, and it's like, I need to talk to this guy. And I literally just reached out and you were like, yep. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, man, you got to spread the good word and help out as many people as you can and share. It's like we're all one community, dude.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. So I would love to share what inspired me about you is really your background and your history and how you got to where you are today. So let's start a little bit about your past, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, again, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, man. And it's the power of connecting over social media. So I really appreciate it. So I was mentioning to you, I was born in New York, raised in Boston primarily. So I started there. Then I ended up down at university in Virginia, at the University of Virginia, to play football and do engineering. My family is actually an immigrant family. So my brother and I were the first generation born in this country, but my family's from Haiti. My mom being from the capital of the country and my dad being from a very small village on the northern side of the country. So still together. I have an older brother. We were a very, very tight-knit family, all good in that respect. I think where you and I connected a little bit was after university, or as part of university, I was an ROTC guy. I played football. It led me to my military career, but it also led me to my consulting career, which I'm still at to this day. And then I picked up a few books and then headed down the financial and real estate route. So my background now is I'm more of a entrepreneur, investor, and lifestyle design caliber person where everything that I do is geared around creating the best life that I can live now for myself and my family, leveraging passive income, which comes from real estate, but all of it is to accomplish happiness goals. That's why I tend to sit in front of this map a lot, because I'm a big traveler and I always want to experience culture and have continuous learning no matter where I go. So that's my background.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'd like to find out a little bit more about what your parents did. Like, how did you generate such a broad and open mind to be able to experience the life that you're currently experiencing? Because typically, like I was raised a certain way and other people are raised certain ways. And I feel that parents really have a big influence on our current mindset. Yeah. Did they have a big influence on your mindset?
You know what? My father and mother were the best influence from a foundational perspective, and they gave me education. Like as soon as me and my brother started messing up in inner city Boston, my mom moved us out to the burbs because she knew better. Like we were just going down the wrong path already at 6 and 7 years old. We were doing stupid stuff. And then they put me in private school, put my brother in a vocational school, and everything was about, especially for immigrant families, man, everything is about getting your education and then you can figure it out from there. They gave me I think like most baby boom generation families, the mindset of saving, getting the good job, saving as much as you can, potentially getting a pension and all those types of things. I think that's where I started to divert because I wanted a bit more than what they were doing, which was the typical neighborhood lifestyle and all that stuff. But here's the wonderful thing that my dad, for the most part, pushed. When I was 15, he had a French exchange student come stay at my house, or 14. A French exchange student came and stayed at my house. His name is Matthew. We're still friends to this day. That was different for an inner city kid, right? Being exposed to somebody from a different country. I'm so happy that happened because the following year, my father sent me to Matthew's house in Paris. And the good fortune that I had was his dad on day 3, who I kind of call my second dad now because of what he gave me, told me and Matthew to get into his old 1983 Range Rover and stick shift Range Rover. And he proceeded to drive us around the country for 30 days. Phenomenal. I was 15, so it was 1990 at the time.
Wow. Yeah.
You take someone who grew up in Boston, inner city or the burbs, and expose them to French castles, French food, French people. I went to the French Boy Scouts, went to a funeral, a wedding, smoked a little bit, drank wine all the time. The culture was so different. And what I recognized is that people were living very differently than I was accustomed to. Mm-hmm. And that opened my world to travel. So just like you say, I've been to 96 countries so far. That opened my world to travel and experiencing life a different way. So back to what my parents gave me, or the foundational stuff they gave me, it was definitely the education piece. But man, they opened the world to me by just having that one person come stay at my house so I could practice my French. And, it still sticks with me to this day. And me and him are still friends. He lives with his wife in Barcelona today. Last time I saw him was maybe 3 years ago or so.
Wow, man, that's really cool. So it's funny. I mean, my father was born and raised in Spain, and I have similar experiences of just going there and spending entire summers with my cousins, in Spain, and literally milking cows, cutting the grass with like these old school tools, and just and same thing. They drink wine during lunch over there, and it's like life in a cafe. It's just it does open up your mind to a different way of living, because when you're confined to city walls, or even just a small town or a small suburb, and everybody is so into like what's happening in the news, what's happening in the media, what's happening with each other, and they start talking, all of a sudden you get I guess like trapped in this world, and you kind of can't find your way out. But if you can break out and see different parts of the world and how different people live in different areas of the planet, I mean, there are cultures that are so beautiful and so enriching that really can inspire people to change their lives. And it seems like that had a big impact in your life.
Dude, it had such a big impact. And when I do travel, it's not like I'm traveling as a tourist. That's not what I do. I travel in a manner by which the goal of what I'm doing is to learn about the culture and then connect with as many people as possible. So my success factors will be, do I know the local grocery store owner? Or did someone invite me over their crib for a dinner or a coffee? Are we still talking to this day? I can't think of any place that I've ever been that I still don't, from time to time, reach out to somebody that I met there, or somebody who's visited me or something like that.
I think I saw one of your recent visits. I think it might have been in Indonesia. And it was cool, man. Like I do the same exact thing. I get lost. I like getting lost. I get lost. I got lost in Indonesia, and me and my wife, like literally renting mopeds and just getting lost and getting invited into people's houses. Like you're saying, eating local food and just having such a good time.
And just connecting. That's what life should be about, connecting, not distancing ourselves from people constantly, or just, as you said, concentrating on the matrix only, or the corporate ladder. Like I've done all that stuff. I'm happy to do it. Because it serves a purpose. I'd rather create the type of lifestyle that I want, and certainly travel has helped it out for sure.
Yeah, and you have that foundation, the work ethic. My father too, very, very strict about his ways of saying, look, we need to save money, just like your parents. Get in good education, save money. He pushed me into business, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I ended up becoming a Spanish teacher after that.
Yeah.
But now I'm falling back on the business because I see the benefits of it. But the foundation is set, and they have good intentions, but then we have to take it upon ourselves to see a life that is more fulfilling and more rewarding for us and our family and our future families, because times have changed. We can't save necessarily the way that they could in the past. And live the same lifestyle that they did. Now,
Yeah.
they did love us, and they wanted security and safety for us, and that was the way to do it.
Yeah.
But
Totally get it.
at some point, your mind had to, I guess, develop a plan. So now you're experiencing this broad view of the world and just good people, good vibes, good feelings. And how did you develop a plan of, well, how did you think of becoming financially free at that point?
Yeah. So you're right. I did develop a plan. The catalyst for it was when I was 21. I picked up Personal Finance for Dummies, like just randomly. I was in New York, in Queens actually. I walked into this old bookstore or whatever, and Personal Finance for Dummies was sitting there for like $3.27, and I picked it up. I listen. I just remember vividly reading in there that if you have a credit card and the interest rate on that credit card is 15%, and you owe $1,000, that you could get a 15% on your return by paying that credit card off, or avoid paying 15% of interest. And I just started clicking on like, what's credit, what's debt, what's an APR, why are the credit card companies even lending you money? I started reading all this stuff, and then I landed on, so I started to get like my personal finance in order as a 21, 22-year-old. You know, you destroy your credit when you're in college, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then the universe helped me out in that when I was 23, I was buying my first house or first condo to live. I just got my first job at my consulting firm where I'm still at today. I can't remember what I bought it for. I feel like I bought it for like 135,000 or something like that.
And where was
And
this?
3 months later, the one next door, the same floor plan, sold for 30 grand more. So that keyed into my, like I had just read Personal Finance for Dummies on what equity was. And I asked my dad a bunch of questions on what equity was. And I hightailed it to the library. And I remember reading 9 or 10 books like back to back in one day. No kidding. Never 8 because I was so fascinated. And then by the end of the year, I had bought 9 or 10 more condos. So that kind of started my path on this real estate journey, where I figured if I can keep buying these things and making salaries in every transaction, and eventually I figured out that passive income allows you to create, passive income allows you to have cash flow without you having to physically be somewhere. Mm-hmm. My plan was I'm going to replace my corporate salary, and I just kept pressing repeat on buying places and paying them off. And then 14 years later, I replaced my salary, and that's how I kind of got my initial financial freedom.
Oh my goodness, man. 9 or 10 in that first year?
In the first year, I went nuts. Yeah.
I'll tell you. So I've been there and I'm still at that point. Like I'll find myself 10, 11 o'clock at night and I haven't eaten. I'm like, what am I doing? I got to eat. I got to stop. I get so excited about it. You know, I feel it, man. I definitely feel it. Yeah. So how was that possible? You were 23, 24-ish, that age?
Remember I said the universe provides something, right? You know, the universe provides. I was just listening to Earl Nightingale, who's, you know, kind of the father of personal development. He was talking about how your brain is a fertile ground. Whatever you plant in it is going to grow. I don't know. It just happened to be at the time, it was the beginning of the 2000 boom cycle. From 2002 to 2008, real estate was going crazy, especially in the DC area. You could buy a pre-construction condo, put a $25,000 down payment. The condo cost $150, and by the time it was built, it was worth $250. Mm-hmm. But lenders at the time were doing things like no-doc lending, where you didn't have to provide proof or whatever. I mean, I was making a good salary at my corporate firm, and then I got deployed after 9/11 in 2002, so that was a pretty good salary. But I put everything that I made against real estate. I never spent money. I never bought a new car. I never really spent it too much on commercial goods. Everything went to real estate. As soon as I did 2 or 3 deals, I found a mortgage broker who was like, go ahead, get as many as you can do because now is the time to do it. And I got a broker who helped me out, and I just went, you know, balls to the wall until I couldn't get anything else. So I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just did it.
Dude, that is so awesome. Now, were you living at home, or I guess you were living on your own at this point, or were you renting?
Totally on my own. Remember, I had bought my first place. Mm-hmm. Totally on my own. My folks didn't have money at all, so I wasn't accustomed to calling them for help or anything of that nature. So it was just a matter of like pulling up my bootstraps, saving as much as I could, and then just applying that to any piece of property I could get my hands on.
That is awesome. That is really, really cool. It's like that's where people tend to there's that gap of people that I talk to a lot of investors or aspiring investors, and they're like, I'm just going to get this property and that's it. You know what? There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of sacrifice involved.
Oh yeah.
And you got to really be driven. It's not just something that happens. You got to find a way to make this happen. It's not like, oh, all these people who own these properties are just fortunate and I can't be that person. But everybody can do it. But everybody's got to have that mindset and the drive and the energy. And there's also had to be some kind of fear, I guess. Was there any fear with you?
No.
With none.
Nico, you know why? Let me tell you why. Because just as you're talking, like those old feelings are kind of evoking, and I'm remembering what was going on. I remember telling myself that I would not have the typical lifestyle. I did not want the 9 to 5 crap forever. I didn't want to be in the matrix. I didn't want to just stay in Alexandria, Virginia, where I was at the time. I think if you have something beyond money that you're trying to get to, doing what you're doing is going to be that much easier. I never said, oh, I just want money. That's not what I was doing. I said, I want freedom. And I'm not going to live life the way other people are going to live it. So it was motivation. And you were saying like sacrifice and how hard it is. I didn't have my 20s. When I say I didn't have my 20s, like I missed out on a lot of social life. And I actually think I lost a lot of friends in my 20s who, just because they were heading out on the weekends and I was dealing with termites and tenants and toilet bowls and painting and all that stuff every single weekend for like 35 places for about 10 years. I gave up a lot, but because it had a purpose, there was no scared in me. It was just like, I'll just course correct. That's one of my favorite statements. I just go forward and I course correct. I'm probably going to make a mistake. I still make a mistake in all my business ventures now, or even in life and family, but you course correct. You don't get caught in analysis paralysis and not doing it and trying to get it perfect. If I was trying to get it perfect, I'd still be living in the same place that I was living in when I was 23 and would have never done anything. So yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice that comes in with it. But I'm telling you, brother, if you have a purpose beyond the money, like if there's a life purpose to going after it, then you'll find a way to get it done.
I agree with you 100%. And I'll tell you, man, as a school teacher and as a father, even as a friend, and for myself, when you're talking about course correcting, I find society these days, I'm not going to get too crazy with it, but a lot of people are afraid to be wrong and do things wrong and get things wrong. And it's drilled into our heads that we're to be shameful of things when we get things wrong or make mistakes. Now, I encourage, especially as a language teacher, I encourage mistakes. It's the only way you're going to talk and speak a new language is if you're practicing and trying. And I applaud mistakes, because a lot of the times, if I don't acknowledge the mistakes, I let them go. And a lot of times the kids themselves will say, oh, I said this wrong. And you know what? That is more of a growth factor for me than me saying, no, you did this wrong. No, you did this wrong, and shaming people. I feel that it empowers people if they can understand their mistakes and, like you said, course correct and move on and learn something and become a bigger and better person.
You can. And I heard Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, the billionaire, she said that her father conditioned her to make mistakes. So when he would come home from work, he wouldn't say, what did you do good today? He would say, what did you try and fail today? So Sarah got accustomed to constantly doing things and getting it wrong. And I'm trying to impart that on my little one today. But if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying.
Right.
You're not trying. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Oh man, this is great. So now so you went from condos. Did you move on to other stuff like multifamily?
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for asking. So this what happened. Like I got to that point. I got to that point of the salary got replaced. It was just more of life stuff, right? So when it was 2014, and I recognized that I was doing the same thing that I was doing when it was 2003. Like I was still buying and paying off condos, and I just hadn't had any personal development or personal growth on the business side, if you will. So I took a leap of faith, went to a seminar about multifamily, and hired a mentor, which was really important because I had my own limiting beliefs that I couldn't buy an apartment building or a mobile home park or large complexes that I see other people do. I started with him in 2015, paused because I got deployed for the military overseas. And then when I came back, still had a mental block. But finally, after my mentor flew down from Rhode Island, spent 2 days with me in DC. And I kid you not, Nico, after he came down with week 3 or week 4, I had my first contract on a 65 unit multifamily property in Pennsylvania. And fast forward from there, within 2 years, I had done 10 or 12 deals. I can't remember how many deals I've done at this point, but it just like, it's all mental, right? It opened the floodgates. And again, you know, whatever for business and for money, I want to be really careful because it has never been about money to me. It has been about lifestyle. It has been about freedom. It has been about, now it's about legacy and what large check am I going to be able to write before I punch off of this earth that's going to have a significant socioeconomic impact to a community. How many people can I mentor to get them into the single family space? How many people can I mentor to help them realize that climbing the corporate ladder is not the destination for everyone? Just because society tells you to do it doesn't mean that you have to do it, right? I definitely moved on in that respect to bigger and better. And I never talk about how many units I have, but you know, I'm in like 7 states now or something like that. But it has been a personal growth perspective. And again, falling forward, making a lot of mistakes along the way, but I would never, ever take it back whatsoever because it's fueling my life goals, which is live my way, give back to community, leave legacy for my 2 boys and my family. So yeah, things have definitely changed.
It's funny. And sometimes we don't get what we want until that clarity of vision comes to fruition, right? Like literally the day I hit 40, I was like, oh my goodness. I told myself I'm going to pass away one day. And what do I want my kids to have? What do I want my family to have? How can I secure for my family and for the future that they are safe and that Nico took care of them, you know, and it was really that it's not money, man. You're right. It's not money for us. It's not spending money to go buy luxuries and toys and things like that. It's about creating a safe environment for your friends, your family, and also your community. And I can't wait for the day when I can be providing. Well, I do now. I'm somewhat of a philanthropist, but at a bigger and broader level to where I can help people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily, like you're saying, through a mentorship program. Because if you can affect one person's mind, they have then have the ability to turn around and affect 10 other people's minds, and that can spread faster than money can spread, you know? So it's not, I love that, man.
And you can give back. I actually think that my gift to community is not even necessarily what I'm doing on the real estate side, although I do focus on fixed income communities. And like I'm trying to buy a property now in very rural Virginia because there are baby boomers there who just don't make a lot of money and they live off Social Security. So I think I can help them. But you can find, like, that's the spice of life, like when you can give back to people. So in 2008, man, let me take one step back. So on the military side, I was a federal agent for a very long time. So in the Air Force, it's called Office of Special Investigations, OSI. That is the equivalent of NCIS, which everybody knows from like the TV shows and stuff like that. I was an OSI special agent running field offices all over the world, which was like, again, planting something in your head that you wanted, and somehow I got it done. But when I got back from all of that, I really recognized that I was good at law enforcement, and that law enforcement, let me not say law enforcement, I prefer to say community policing, but community policing has a way to impact people in your local community beyond what most people think that it can do. So I actually tried to leave my corporate gig and jump and be a police officer. It just so happens that I was able to figure out how to do both of them at the same time. So I've been a police officer still with everything that I'm doing since 2008. I patrolled not last night, but the night before, because it's my way of giving back to community. If I can run in someone's house and stop a burglar from affecting someone's family, I'm all for it. I carried a woman down 7 flights of stairs in a high rise when there was a fire in it. I love it. And when I come home, I don't go like I'm giving you a couple examples, but I don't go tell the world all this stuff that is happening at a street level. It's just, it feels so good to be able to give back to local community in the same way that I want to give back to international community by being a good ambassador and a good person when I'm connecting with people overseas. But that's also the same way that I'm pushing so hard on the real estate and the restaurant business and expanding my footprint because I think I can give back to community in a meaningful way and give people a great place to live. You know, all these people like Bill Gates, and I'm watching what they're doing. Bill Gates and Elon, they don't have to work. What
Right.
they're trying to do is actually impact the world.
Right.
Because of Bezos, we don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. Thank God Amazon exists during COVID, right? He has fundamentally changed the world. Elon Musk has fundamentally changed the world with Tesla and the Boring Company and SpaceX. I'm not saying I'm going to get to that level, but that's what folks are doing when they're pushing on business. Good folks, in my opinion. They're trying to find ways to dramatically impact society. And you can do it at a micro level, like being a cop if you want, or a macro level, like being a large real estate investor or a business owner, and then, you know, cutting a check or changing the way we live our lives on a day-to-day.
That's awesome, man. And we did speak about this in the past about you being a police officer, and I think that it's not really a micro level, man, because the way that you affect people and your position, your authority, or even just you as a role model in wearing a uniform for other people wearing the uniform and for society saying, wow, this is a genuinely good person. Maybe I can do this and maybe I can make good in this world. Because let's be realistic. I am a school teacher, like I said, and I truly believe that everybody has the potential to be excellent, but their excellent might be different than somebody else's excellent. And
Yeah.
to become a police officer is a huge, just a huge win for somebody's life. I think it's there. There's no shame in that. I think it's excellent. I think that you should really be proud of that. And I know it gives you little wins here and there, but for other people, those are huge wins, especially affecting the lives of others in the way that you help people, but also by the way that you are a role model and a good example of what people should be like.
Yeah, well, brother, I appreciate that. And I know that listen, we're in tough times with police officers and Black Lives Matter and all that type of stuff. And
Right.
obviously I'm a black man who's a police officer with 2 black kids, right? My interaction with the general public, unfortunately I work midnight hours, so 8:30 p.m. to 6:30 in the morning. So typically the things I'm running into aren't the nicest things in the world. Burglars and drunk drivers and robberies and homicide, all that type of stuff. But if you interact with a victim or someone who's impacted by a crime or a theft or had their purse stolen or something like that, and they lean on you and they see that you're somewhat of a pillar of strength or someone to be counted on or someone who's extremely respectful, you're absolutely right. You can impact those people. Oh, there was a guy who was followed home one time, and I got a call for it. He was followed home because he was in an accident, and the 2 knuckleheads followed him home. And family man, and him and his wife were definitely afraid. And I came over, and we ended up locking one of those guys up because they had a warrant, and they were just sitting in the car. But what happened with that particular family was they felt so comfortable that we stopped down there and came and took care of them. And it just so happens that one of their kids was in the same school as my son, right? So when they saw me and saw my son's mom at school, they were like, "Is that the same last name as this officer who came by my house?" And they told her like, "Oh my God, we felt so comfortable. He saved us. We want to give him a call." You can do small things like that in the community, and stuff like that has meaning. So I hear what you're saying. It can have a large impact, but it is so hard for me. I'm running out of time to still be on the road and still do those types of things, but it's very hard for me to give it up because I know I'm doing good by a community.
Oh, that's great, man. I do too. And I'm currently working a position where I don't have to work. So I work at a special needs camp. It's the largest special needs camp on Long Island here in New York.
Ah,
And yeah, and I teach surfing. I do it in the summertime. It's not like I'm getting paid well for it, but I do it because I cherish the kids. I cherish the value that I can provide them with, the smiles that I see every summer, the way that, they just respect and love me and, give me hugs and kisses. And it's just like I will do it for as long as I possibly can.
yeah, absolutely.
Maurice, I want to be respectful of your time. So I would like to hit you with one final question because
Sure.
honestly, I think people are going to love this episode. This has just been very impactful, very, actionable. People can take away a lot from this. And I think that I would love to just, end it on a positive note. Let's imagine that it was maybe 75 or 100 years from now, and your grandchildren or great grandchildren are living a great life because you have provided them with the legacy that you have worked so hard for. And they want to just honor you in some way by perhaps writing a book about you, if they were to write a book about Grandpa Maurice, what would you like the title to be, or what would you like some characteristics of you that you would like them to talk about?
The title and characteristics, man. I do not like being defined by society at all. The jobs don't make me. My fraternity doesn't make me. Titles don't make me. I am Maurice, and I happen to be all those things that we talked about, and maybe even more. I would have to say, the traveler who did it his way, or our grandpa who believed in freedom, or he created his own freedom. Maybe that's it right there. He created his own freedom, or he created our freedom, because I'm trying to do it for my family.
Oh, and you know what? And set a great example. So Grandpa or great grandpa Maurice created freedom for our family.
There you go.
I'll
stick with that. And as long as, the generations in my family recognize that they can live life their way. You don't have to live the way society's telling you. You don't have to follow the typical path of 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. If that's not for you, I think it's a beautiful lifestyle. But you can be a digital nomad. You can be a world traveler. You can be a cop. You can be a nurse. You can do whatever the F it is that you want to do. You can grow your own empire from nothing if you'd like. Just go after it, right? And believe in something, you'll get there.
I love it, man. Maurice, thank you so much. So I would like to, I'm going to take a step back, because I reached out to you because you had, I heard you on a few other podcasts, and you had mentioned that you would be willing to talk to somebody. And I don't want people to just call you up with just questions out of the blue. I would like people who really would like to learn about you, maybe to reach out to you. And how could the listeners reach out to you?
So thank you for saying that. And man, I love talking about this stuff, as you know. And trying to share the word. So if folks want to chat, I will always take time out. So it's either the two platforms that I spend most of my time are Instagram and LinkedIn. So just Maurice Philogene is the handle, just first name, last name, which I'm sure will be on your show notes as far as spelling, right?
Right, yep.
The other place on a business level, I roll with 3 other partners. So we call ourselves Quattro Capital. So the landing page is Quattro Capital REI for real estate investment. That's where I'm doing everything from a multifamily and apartment investing perspective. But listen, I'm happy to talk about real estate investing. I'm happy to talk about lifestyle design. I'm happy to talk about travel hacking, how I figured out how to, leave on a Wednesday, come back on a Sunday and go to Finland 5 times in 2019, and end up in the Arctic a couple times. I will talk about any aspect of financial freedom, lifestyle design, real estate investment, or whatever it is you're trying to do to win your freedom. So try and find me on those platforms, and we can have a chat.
Maurice, thank you so much. And honestly, the listeners, you guys are getting a ton of value with this guy. So hit him up if you have serious questions and you would like to talk with him. And thank you so much, Maurice. I really appreciate your time.
Brother, absolutely my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, bye-bye. I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast, where we show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. Now, if you liked what you heard, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, go to my website at smalaxecommunities.com. And until the next episode, keep sharpening those axes.